Mohamed Muizzu is set to become the next president of Maldives. The new president-elect is widely reported as being pro-China. His election once again upends the tiny archipelago's relationship with India. Muizzu heads a party that presided over an influx of Chinese loans when it last held power in the Indian Ocean nation. Maldives, along with Sri Lanka, are India's key maritime neighbors and hence occupy an outsized place in New Delhi's foreign policy. With incumbent Ibrahim Mohamed Solih out, his efforts to revert the country's diplomatic posture back towards New Delhi since taking office 5 years ago are set to be reversed again. The president-elect Muizzu played a pivotal role in an earlier government's development program, which was bankrolled in part by finances from China's Belt and Road Infrastructure Initiative. He is known to have told the Chinese Communist Party that his party's return to office would script a further chapter of strong ties between both countries. Maldives sits in a strategically vital position in the middle of the Indian Ocean, right in the middle of one of the world's busiest east-west shipping lanes. China is trying to make inroads in the Indian Ocean region through its much-discussed string of pearls strategy. The term is widely used to describe China's purported plan to establish naval bases and intelligence stations throughout the Indian Ocean region. Beijing has spent the past decades trying to forge closer diplomatic relations with nations like Sri Lanka, Maldives, Pakistan and Myanmar. China has signed multi-million-dollar aid, trade and defense deals with the respective capitals across the region. Chinese state-owned corporations have also financed commercial ports in these Indian Ocean countries. Falling in line with China's strategy, Muizzu's mentor and former president Abdullah Yameen borrowed heavily from China for construction projects and sidelined India. Yameen was accused of pushing the country into a Chinese debt trap. Yameen's turn towards Beijing had also alarmed New Delhi, which is concerned of China's inroads in the Indian Ocean. Baswati Mukherjee is a former diplomat and is now joining us live from New Delhi. Baswati, welcome to WION The World. Both China and India were keeping an eye on the outcome of these polls. Indian Prime Minister Narendra Modi has already extended his congratulations to President-elect Mohamed Muizzu. Let's start with India. What does Muizzu's win mean for India? And apart from Muizzu's India Out campaign, what are India's concerns with him?
Thank you very much for having me on your program. The president-elect has an anti-India plank in his election campaign, and he represents a party which wants very strong ties with China and which would like to have India out of Maldives, which means that his election could be looked at therefore as a setback, not just for India, which regards Maldives not only as a neighbor but a country with huge strategic importance, but also a great setback for the Quad, for AUKUS, and for those who would like a rule-based order in the Indo-Pacific. If Muizzu delivers on his election campaign promises, it would mean that Maldives would become much closer to China, almost like a satellite state. It would fall further into China's debt trap, manner in which Sri Lanka fell into China's debt trap. And it would also mean that the kind of advances that India has made with the support of its Western strategic partners in holding on to Maldives as a strategic asset in this very important part of the world will be diminished. I'm not so sure about the string of pearls because that has really not succeeded as far as China is concerned. The string of pearls was actually intended to encircle India strategically so that India remains trapped in its immediate neighborhood. That has not succeeded. But we have to watch and wait. But I don't think that this election is good news as far as India's strategic and foreign policy planners are concerned. Eric.
Baswati, What has been dominating the headlines so far is Muizzu's pro-China approach, like you mentioned there, even in his campaigns. Do you think now that he is president, his stance will fizzle out with time or will be emboldened? And what will be the impact of both when it happens? Because having in mind the India Out campaign and having in mind the China debt trap policy, what do you think?
That's a very important question, because it's true that politicians, when they get elected, sometimes modify their positions taken before getting elected. But it is clear that much will depend upon Maldives' economic status and whether they have learned some lessons by watching Sri Lanka's economic collapse when it got into China's debt trap. Or for that matter, the present economic woes of Pakistan, many of those problems are also due to Pakistan being in China's debt trap. If Maldives does not want to go that way, then he would be maybe tempted to modify his election rhetoric, because India, unlike China, has no malevolent motive towards Maldives. India has brought genuine development assistance to Maldives, and there is a huge influx of Indian tourism into Maldives, which is propping up the economy. Right. If he should adopt hostile policies, those Indian tourists and business and those who are investing in Maldives infrastructure, which is very vital for Maldives, would go elsewhere, because there is no shortage for India. We are an expanding economy. We have the 5th largest GDP. We will become the 3rd largest GDP in 10 years' time. It is Maldives which would lose. So it's up to him. But so far, there are no such signs. He has already asked his predecessor to move the former president Yamin, who's in jail, into house arrest. He has announced that he's going to release Yamin. Yamin is the person who actually brought Maldives into the Chinese debt trap. So to me, at the moment, I see no indication of the president-elect Muizzu changing any of his campaign promises. It would appear to me that he is headed straight into a deathly Chinese debt trap embrace.
Baswati, finally, and I want your brief response to this one. Why has there been a competition between India and China to dominate the island nation? What is it that both countries want from the Maldives?
The brief answer is, we have never tried to dominate Maldives like China. We regard Maldives as a development partner, and we have had traditionally strong ties with Maldives. We would like to maintain those ties, and we would reject any effort by China to try to reverse those ties or to bring us in a situation where those friendly ties would become loser. That is what our main problem is. It's not with Maldives, it's with Chinese interference in the Maldives-India Connect. Eric.
Baswati Mukherjee is a former diplomat. She has been talking to us about the Maldives election. Baswati, thank you very much for all your inputs and for talking to WION World is One today.
Thank you very much. Bye-bye.
WION is now available in your country. Download the app now and get all the news on the move.